Free speech ain't free. Free speech ain't free. Free speech ain't free. There are murders that shock, and then there are murders that feel like warnings. Today's case is one of those. On a busy afternoon in Johannesburg's CBD, a well-known media personality, DJ Warras, was shot dead in public in broad daylight. This was captured on CCTV, surrounded by people, and yet, almost instantly, the killer disappeared. This is not just a story about who pulled the trigger. It is about why, who benefits, and what happens when power, property, and fear collide. Welcome to True Crime with StonedQ, our True Crime South Africa podcast. This is a place where we report mostly on under-the-radar, unreported, underrepresented cases in South Africa. However, we do cover the more well-known cases as well. Let us remember that these are real cases with real people, real lives, real families. Even if they are celebrities and they let us into a peak of their lives, let us remember to not victim blame. Let's be kind. Let's be respectful. Let's remember that there's people that stay behind and witness the mess that happens when we're reporting these true crime cases. So let us remember to keep it respectful, to keep it love and light. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new to our space here, this is season 2 of True Crime with StonedQ. And this is episode 24, but episode 6 on our season 2 playlist. And I thought we should report on this case right here. It is pretty fresh, and I think we will be keeping blow by blow on updates that happened, because this case was really such a shocker and highlighting a lot of things that are happening or in the current atmosphere of what is happening in our country right now. To those who are new to our space, please let us start by subscribing. Please do like, please do share, please do engage with us in the comment section. To those who are returning, thank you so much. Thank you for still being here. But let us go into today's episode. And I think for those maybe who are not familiar with this current case here, or who are not from our country, or are not from the era of ours, who know what YFM is and how YFM transitioned throughout the years, YFM and 5FM. I think some of us have witnessed that whole transition, Remember when 5FM was now being inclusive and not necessarily being like a soft rock, or what we would loosely say, station samakhoa, But yes, who was DJ Warras? So DJ Warras, his real name was Warwick Stock, better known as DJ Warras. He was a familiar face and voice to many South Africans. And I think circa 2018, Lapo, that's when, not 2018 Kimalova, but 2008, right? While some of us were growing, the likes of YFM, but absolutely amazing on Sundays. But with age, some things you outgrow and you go to a more youth and dala kind of radio station, right? Or it just gets the nerves baholo, it just gets too noisy. But we saw this whole transitioning happening, when Bowaras were now coming up, from witnessing the area bo Freshi, bo Kabzela, di Urla, to current day. Okay, today I don't tune in that much, but I heard on Sundays that, oh my gosh, it is absolutely amazing. But I found that the other grown-up station actually is also doing amazing stuff. But because he's a gen from YFM, original YFM, I think he understands what we want to hear on Sundays. But anyway, he was a radio DJ, a TV presenter, podcaster, and entertainer all around, and so conscious, right? And he was deeply embedded in the media space, social media space, current affairs space, as well as the nightlife scene. He wasn't a recluse, he wasn't underground, he was very visible, known, connected, and also spoke one of the indigenous languages that we did not expect from him, being a colored man, right? His friends would describe him as outspoken, driven, and unafraid to involve himself in issues beyond entertainment. Someone who believed that Johannesburg, especially the inner city, didn't have to be surrendered to chaos. And yeah, I guess that's the thing that led him to us talking about him today. And yeah, that belief may have put him in someone's crosshairs, Like I said when we began the episode, that seemingly free speech ain't free, free movement ain't free at all.
This is the security cluster of our country, from intelligence all the way down to police. These are the people that are supposed to protect us, and there is an accusation that they are a cartel working with international drug smugglers and political killings, the taking out of whistleblowers, the Babitas of the world, God rest her soul, what a brave woman. If that's the accusation that's being leveled, it certainly isn't being treated with the seriousness that I think it deserves. And that tells me everything I need to know about Izopelela.
December 16, it is such a vibe, but fortunately or unfortunately, some of us have outgrown that whole December vibe, and especially because, I don't use the regular calendar as a person and as the content that I do. Yes, forgot to mention. So for those who want different content, if this is too much, I forgot to give the disclaimers beginning of the episode. But for those maybe who are looking for higher consciousness, spirituality kind of conversations, please do hop onto my other podcast. It is StonedQ podcast. Yes, we owe a lot of things on that platform there. But yes, we do delve into alternative healing, spirituality holistically, but more from an African perspective. And let me not bring the news from there. So if this is a bit too much for you, because it's going to be just a little bit graphic and a little bit heartbreaking as well. But so those are the content warnings. We're going to be speaking about unaliving with weapons like guns. But so like I was saying, that December 16, man, has always been such a day, a vibe, either Kopa Fountains Valley or... I don't know what you Joburgers did, but I grew up in Pretoria, and no, I think the Joburgers would do that. But you guys had what's this place? Okay, I experienced those things when I was now back living in Johannesburg. But get December, get 16, 16, it's either June 16 or December 16. But at December, we know, get June 16, And this is the last thing that I expected to see, not that snacks or anything like that, but it's normal. It's a normal weekday afternoon in Johannesburg CBD, Kitty 16. So it's not that busy like how CBD would usually be busy, but because so busy pavements, taxis hooting here and there, pedestrians, the two finger here and there, weaving through traffic, but such occurrences. Now, DJ Warras exits Zambezi House. So for those who are familiar with CBD or familiar with Carlton Center, because Carlton Center is one of the landmarks in Johannesburg CBD. But that big blue building, as this skyscraper, but I think that was the intention. But I think it was one of the highest buildings. Now, again, not proper historical information on Carlton Center, but I know people used to take each other out on dates. I watched a Brenda Fassie documentary where Carlton Center was the ish. I'd actually need to look who is Carlton. Yeah, saying Zanjalo with a lot of things. But anyway, Zambezi House is a building just a few minutes away from Carlton Center. What happens next lasts only a few seconds. So surveillance footage shows Warras walking towards his vehicle after he exited this building. So there's nothing frantic about him, no sense of panic, no sense of him knowing what's happening. This is a guy who feels safe, has done this so many times. But from then, what we see from within the frame, we see a short man with dreadlocks, So this man approaches Warras. Okay, short is relative for South Africa, because I feel South Africans or Southern Africans are short in general. I would say that I'm tall for a Southern African woman, whether I'd be somebody from Zimbabwe, somebody from South Africa, like I'm tall for a South African woman. All right. So from the frame, we see that, okay, this man is approaching. So there's no shouting, no argument, no altercations, just movement. and then gunshots ring out. All right, so imagine the people that are there as well. And yeah, in a few seconds, Warras collapses. The shooter turns and walks away. Doesn't even run, right? He's not running, no panic, just, regular Inkabi situation. And he just disappears into the city. And unfortunately, that's how Johannesburg CBD has been, And I was just recently talking to my partner. So they're not from here. And just how they just easily go in and out of the CBD. I'm like, if only you knew what traumas we have of this. I remember going to the CBD on my own as a young adult. My friend had to draw a map for me. Don't ask people, don't do this. This is how you're going to walk. This is how you get to breathe. So I'm catching taxis as an adult for the or inter-provincial taxis for the first time on my own. I don't have mom, I don't have dad there, but I'm doing this on my own kind of situation, And it was still such a scary place, but because of my stature, I think my height sort of protects me from a lot of things, But anyway, so I'm just describing the scene that this is broad daylight, Kiko Carlton Center, one of the landmarks. There's a taxi rank just near Carlton Center, more, like high traffic, high foot traffic, high vehicle traffic, and bystanders were there. I remember seeing in one of the comment sections somebody saying that, ningono that you guys are reading about it, imagine me, I was there like witnessing this thing. So no trauma counseling for the people that don't care about us. It's zap science all the way for us. But anyway, let us go deeper into the story. So what was he doing there? So this is where now the story becomes a little bit uncomfortable, right? So DJ Warras was not there as a DJ. He was not performing. He was not attending a media event, no podcast invitation, nothing like that. He was involved in security-related work at Zambezi House. So this building is at the center of long-standing disputes, right? So it's like, uthola indaba ishisa, and then wena utlokena mo tabeng eo, not knowing who historically there's been a lot of things, a lot of behind the scenes that maybe he wasn't privy to, or maybe he felt, I'm not scared of such things, So Zambezi House has been described as a hijacked building. So this is a term we use for properties taken over by unauthorized occupants. There's unauthorized lords at the top, often linked to organized criminal networks, and these buildings generate money through illegal rent, intimidation, and control. So all these snacks things that we experiencing now in the hoods, things like bomber protection fee, stems from your culture, at the hijacked buildings. If you were privy enough, I know maybe the last seasons were a bit trash, but if you're privy enough to have watched things like Bokazlami, Bo, Yizo, ne? I think it was season 3 where they were showing this whole hijacked buildings, and then how dwellers are also involved. If you are somebody who grew up in Johannesburg, or maybe say visiting Johannesburg. I don't know other cities. I can only speak from a Johannesburg point of view. I have the best of both worlds. I grew up in Pretoria and Johannesburg. I was born in Johannesburg, grew up in Pretoria. But I remember seeing the deterioration of Hillbrow. Places like Hillbrow, Boperia, what's that other one that Rastas like? When you speak of Hillbrow, you're not going to exclude this place. But anyway, so I remember being in Hillbrow as a kid, right? So my uncle had a telecom or phone situation business. So he's been an entrepreneur all his life, or actually not even all his life. Actually, let's just say all his life, actually. So he had something that he was doing there. So I remember when Hillbrow was still good, where you could still leave kids in the car, you could still run profitable businesses. And then to see how that deteriorated over the years, the city is dilapidated now, like, and yeah, so I just remember, even seeing, now when we'd go for, the next time we'd go to Hillbrow, now you see, the street kids, people, oh my gosh, I was so shocked the other day, oh my gosh, and these are parts that I walk, so the other day, actually, no, Mabani, I took a taxi to Johannesburg CBD, right? Because if I find Nasgodi, I'd rather navigate that by public transport than... Yeah, I just don't like driving into the CBD. Let's just leave it at that. And I saw people are literally sleeping on the streets. Yeah, these inequalities are gonna be the end of us, honestly. But anyway, back to the story here. So, Warras was reportedly involved in access control and security oversight, including efforts related to biometric systems and rent compliance. So now, imagine now people are paying maybe 500 and now you have to be paying 2,500. Do you see how angry that makes people? Do you see how angry this makes these criminal networks, the people that are sitting there on top of the food chain? But importantly, he was not acting on behalf of the city of Johannesburg. This was private work, this whole tendering systems. That's why he mentioned other names when he went to these certain podcasts, So this was work that interferes with people's money flows. This was work that threatens control. This was work that creates and makes enemies. Langeta train of thought here. And this was somebody, like I said, who like Nelly Moto Okoncha, woke. But my little brother was saying something like, oh my gosh, like bega woke, Lomutulona, but bega shotagama rituals, which I feel a lot of people who are maybe awakening, the house and the anchors, the actual anchors behind it are missing. But anyway, I'll address this on the podcast where we talk about these certain things. But in moving forward, the CCTV footage has become central to this case. It shows the shooter approaching calmly, almost blending into the environment. He doesn't sprint, like no sense of panic at all, no hesitation. He moves like somebody who knows exactly when and where his target will appear, And in subsequent footage that we have so far been updated with, it is said that there was a phone call that this man received, something lured him outside. But anyway, another figure is visible nearby, someone wearing what looks like security kind of uniform, and that detail is important for this case here because now it raises questions. Was this surveillance? Was this coordination? Or was it coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. But was it a coincidence in a city where uniforms are easily copied? Lidi, our parking attendants, on the industry air guys on. But your parking people, they also have the reflectors. And if you're a stoner like me, sometimes you get stoned, right? While navigating errands and whatnot. So sometimes because sometimes you don't want to have an argument with somebody of the law, even though it's legalized and whatnot. But now you're going to have those debates. This is my private property. Yeah, Runa, we fly with this thing. What. Domestically, ne? Yeah, domestically. But anyway, so like these security and uniforms, they're easily accessible is the point that I'm trying to make. And after the shots were made, both these figures faded into the crowd. So do you see where this was going? No getaway car, no motorbike, just the anonymity of the CBD. Anonymity. I cannot say this word, save me. Anonymity of the CBD, right? Stalling them into nothingness, I guess. So the police believe that the suspects walked a significant distance on foot after the shooting, deliberately avoiding attention, right? Because I'm sure if there's a getaway car, then there's another lead or something else. Now, a question that we need to ask, was this a targeted hit? So authorities have indicated that this act was likely not something random. DJ Warras had reportedly taken out multiple protection orders in the months before his passing, suggesting that he was already facing issues of threats and, those kind of things. So that detail changes absolutely everything regarding this case. Protection orders don't come from paranoia. They come from fear grounded in reality, right? And speaking from experience as well. So investigators are now questioning individuals linked to those disputes and examining whether a price was placed on his life, whether his head had some sort of bounty. So very chilling, but not uncommon reality in disputes involving property, power, and organized crime. As of now, there have been no arrests, but there are persons of interest, POIs, and police are actively tracking movements captured on camera. So I'm studying something right now, and what I've realized is, and just being involved in this kind of work, right, of true crime and stuff, what I can say to you is, if police wanted to, they would, you know. So when police are looking for you, bazokuthola, you know, when they actually want you, they will find. When they actually want to work, they will definitely find you. But anyway, I digress. These are the things that we talk about on the other space there. But anyway, so this case exploded because now it touches a nerve. And like I'm saying, Hore, in the past couple of months, has been featured on podcasts, speaking truth, you know, speaking things of touching the people who are supposed to be going on trial, but have access to call shots of you know, of people that have freedom, have complete freedom, you know. But yeah, we're not gonna report on unfactual things, you know. Let's just keep it factual, but let's also ask questions, you know, that raise questions. But anyway, so yeah, like I'm saying, that it touched a nerve, a big nerve, you know. Tendering system, hijacked buildings, urban decay, the justice system that is stretched very, very thin, and civilians caught between lawlessness and silence, you know, because trust and believe, there's always, especially like somebody who grew up in the hood, you know, there's always somebody who knows. Always. So DJ Warras wasn't just killed. He was killed for standing in the way of something or speaking of something, you know. And this is the thing that unsettles people. I think if you go on social media right now, this is the most unsettling part of everything else in share. And because of someone visible, connected, and legally protected can be eliminated in daylight, like what about Rona? What about us regular folk, you know? What about Rona on such things? And I think I got so frightened for like 2 minutes. Like, are there things that we shouldn't touch, you know? Because I speak a lot, I call out a lot. Kinali mentality ya 2K as a 1K kind of situation, you know. But anyway, as of today, DJ Warras' killer remains unidentified. Like I'm saying, we have persons of interest, but no, you know, core person. And yeah, the man with dreadlocks is still out there. The footage still loops, you know, on and on and on and on. The city keeps moving. And I think the one heartbreaking thing that I read when I was just looking into this case here was something that answered a question I had, you know, where I was asking her, okay, if somebody gets unalived in the CBD, what happens? Do we need to wait for family? Is there a department that cleans off that red liquid? Like, what happens then? So to read that his family came gadi gupu or water bottles just to wash away his red vitality thing. That shook me. That really into tihambe man, you know. But yeah, an urgent call to people out there. If you have information, the police, slave hunters are urging. Okay, I think let's not call them that now. But the police are urging people to come forward with information. And if you're watching this, please, like, just ask yourself, was this about one man? Was this a message? Is free speech free? Is freedom free? Are we allowed to say certain things? Are we allowed to touch on other people? Are we allowed to touch on .gov? Because he spoke extensively, you know, on like these little, what people call as the conspiracy theorists. He would say them boldly, you know, like us. Like, that's why I carry Neliski Mutu, and just how he was fluent in languages. They would say, like, these are Bantu languages that breathe, you know, the languages Tamampela. But this is what we have so far. It is brewing, and like I'm saying, that if cops want you, they will find you, you know. So this was not just a regular Inkabi kind of situation. And it's going to be very interesting to see if it links to people who are currently on running cases, you know. But I'm StonedQ, and this has been True Crime with StonedQ. Stay curious, stay woke, stay safe. Please, let's not unalive each other. Let's take care of each other. Please be, if you cannot afford, please, if you cannot afford to be a conspiracy theorist or speak out loud in public, or you're fear-based, I don't encourage fear at all. I really don't. But if you're somebody who cannot afford to do such, you know, Rona, we are married to the struggle, you know, so it's such things. But please be safe, please be vigilant, stay curious, stay asking questions, you know. Help if you can help. But please, thank you so much for making it to the end with us here. Please do subscribe, please do like, please engage. Please, if you have any case suggestions, you know, you can always email us, you can add it on the comment section. And yeah, if you have any corrections, any additions, please, I saw with the Chris Cadell's first episode, the gentleman still has not returned to say, "Oh, okay, but thank you so much. In love and light. See you guys on the next episode. I'm sorry, I'm sorry for the late episodes, but we're gonna try a little bit harder. All right, keep well, stay safe, and we are.